All right, hello everybody. This is Carl White, located in the secret headquarters of the Mortgage Marketing Animals Freedom Club. Got a little sun shining on me here, but it is awesome. There's no way in the heck I'm going to close those blinds and keep this beautiful view, so I'm going to keep it going. Got a very dear friend of mine on today, Mr. Greg Freeman, coming out of the great state of Oklahoma. Greg, you're going to talk to, tell us what you're going to talk to us about, man.
Today we're going to talk about, first of all, good morning, Carl. Thank you for having me on this morning. I'm excited to share what we're going to talk about today. We have really refined over here how we're doing our Thor's Hammer coffee appointments. And so we have been very intense with a high volume amount of these appointments. And so I really struck some veins on some great scripting to say during the Thor's Hammer coffee appointment that seems to have a very predictable outcome with the real estate agents in order to really convert them and to get excited about wanting to do business with you going forward in the future. So that's what we're going to talk about.
All right, perfect. Well, dude, let's just kind of jump into it. And you know, the way you're doing your scripting and the setup of your coffee appointment and what you're actually doing at your coffee appointment, I think is really pretty cool with great results. So let's kind of get into it and show how you put a little twist to these appointments and how it's working out well for you.
Sounds good. When I have a dialer that sets the coffee appointment for me, and so really what I'm doing is, you know, just showing up for the appointment. And that seems to work really, really well for me. But what I found is that, you know, it's one thing to have a great dialogue and a, you know, nice call to action at the end with these real estate agents. It's a completely another thing to kind of take them on a path within that conversation that is going to have the outcome that we're looking to achieve, and that for me is the second appointment. And so my goal on that first Frog Coffee Thor's Hammer meeting with a brand new real estate agent that I do not have a relationship with is to end that meeting with an appointment for a second meeting at my office. And so what we'll talk about today is just kind of how we set that up. So, you know, I'm a mortgage originator. I've been in the business for about 15 years. I've worked in a variety of different situations in the mortgage industry. I'm married. I've got 3 kiddos. And what gets me jazzed up is faith, my family, entrepreneurship, cars, technology, and cycling. So that's what I'm all about. That's my why. That's my family. And that's what drives me every single day, is providing for them, and being the leader that I've been called to be for my family. So that's my team. My model is that I'm a single producer branch manager. I've got 2 loan partners. I got a marketing assistant and full-time processor. And so the bulk of my day is spent, you know, working with real estate agents and also developing and loving on my team. And so very rarely these days am I talking to clients. I do talk to them from time to time, but I'm not taking the application. I'm not getting documentation. The loan partners all do that. Some of the things within the Freedom Club I feel like I've really gotten a firm grasp on is, you know, relationship selling, you know, the Thor's Hammer process. We do a lot with broker metrics and Flowify as some third-party applications. Really got a good grasp on the Acts of Freedom, you know, past client marketing, the DSP, all the tracking forms that go alongside that. And I'm very involved in my local BNI chapter, so love to talk to anybody about those topics. What I've learned during these coffee appointments with these real estate agents that do not know who you are and you do not have a relationship in place is they see you coming. And what I mean by that is, even if your Freedom caller is really good at setting the appointment, if there's no prior relationship in place, then they know why you want to meet. I mean, and that is obvious and clear. And so for me, I like to really disarm that real estate agent right out of the gate, because they kind of, have this attitude, that kind of looks like this, why are we meeting? What do you want from me? I know you just want to harvest, referrals out of me. I've got another lender that I've been working with, and which is true, or else they would not be successful. And so I really want to disarm that real estate agent right out of the gate. So instead of letting these realtors be in control of the conversation, I like to dive in, head first with what's right in the top of their mind. And so, the first thing that I like to address is the how did you hear about me? Because even though they might not, ask that, they are definitely thinking it, because you have this individual that is not you call and set this appointment out of the blue. And, so they know that it's a business call. They know that you want to do more loans, and that means you want their referrals. And so, so I address that right out of the gate. So how I do that, is a pretty simple script, and it looks
So
like.
basically what you're talking about here is like when you're doing that, hey, I've heard nothing but great things about you. I'd like to treat you to a cup of coffee so you can tell me more about how great you are. The thing that might be going in the back of the head, who said that kind of thing?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And so, and I think that this is important, especially if you're using somebody else that is not you to set the appointment, then it can kind of seem set up in the beginning. And so, I want a relaxed conversation. I want somebody to have their guard down, have that suit of armor off, take the game face, down. And so, because if we get to that place, we can get real with each other, instead of it seeming so pitchy. And so how it goes is, right out of the gate, I say, hey, do you want to know why I wanted to meet with you? Me and my team keep an ongoing list here at my office. And at the top of that list, it says great realtors at the top. So when myself or my team runs across a real estate agent that we think is exceptional, or hear another realtor raving about another great agent, we put those realtors' names down on our list. Then I go to that list every month, and I choose a few of those realtors to meet with. And that's why you and I are sitting here today. At some point in time, your name made it on our, great realtors list.
That's a great script.
So this does a couple of things. One, it edifies them a big way. That's a big ego stroke. It's true, because that is how we do it internally. But it also lets them know that, we think that they're great, and we think that they're, important, and that's why we wanted to meet. And so I always stop after saying that, because they always jump right in with some great comments after I say that. And so they're always like, wow, I made it on the list. You guys have been talking about me, in your office. You're excited to meet with me. And so this really kind of changes the direction and the tone of the meeting at that point, and they start to kind of get some enthusiasm about meeting, just because who doesn't want to be great? Who doesn't want to be on the A list? And so this works out really, really well. So after I kind of let them respond, I always end that particular part of that conversation with the bottom part of this script, and that is, you see, it's important to me to get to know the top-notch realtors around town, and it's only a matter of time before we end up at the closing table together. If I get to know you sooner than later, it's easy for me to meet your needs when that mutual closing comes. And so I love saying that, because it says you're a top producer, I'm a top producer, and it's just a matter of time before our paths are going to cross. So let's get to know each other now, just so I know how to knock it out of the park with you. So I haven't said anything about mortgages or wanting their business or anything at this point. All it says is, here's why I'm here today. this is my agenda, which is just to get to know them so I can make sure that I knock it out of the park with them in the future. And so this seems to really disarm the real estate agent. You know, now we're in this situation, they're open arms, you know, they're very receptive, and they've kind of got a different idea about what the meeting is about and why we're meeting. So it just it removes all the pressure. I mean, you can almost see it on their face after you say that it's like, you know, before they're almost on the defensive and what's this all about and how's this guy going to try and, you know, milk me for referrals, to, okay, let's talk, you know. So this is a really good move.
Yeah, and frankly, you know, using that script, it's the truth. Like, it's exactly how we got a meeting here together. So, so it's 100% transparency.
And it also carries through the theme with how the Freedom Caller set the appointment in the beginning, because we're scripting those callers to say, hey, you're awesome. We want to hear more about why you're awesome. You know, so get together with Greg so we can have a coffee appointment together. And so this carries on with that exact same theme. And so it's not like we've taken them 90 degrees in a different direction when we actually meet with them face to face. If I start with this in the beginning, it kind of, you know, tells them, okay, you know, this is why they thought I was awesome. I never have to say anything specific about what that awesomeness is, because that was always a challenge. I mean, sometimes I had real estate agents meet and said, hey, your dialer said that I was awesome, you know, and you wanted to get together. What did you hear that was so awesome about me? You know, so in this script, I always just say, I wasn't the one that put you on the list. You know, all I know is that you're on the A list, you know, so you must be doing something amazing or my team wouldn't have put you on there. So I never get backed into a corner with that script in that scenario. So works good. At that point, you know, I just start proceeding with the normal frog process. And so
I just want to say, man, that is one sexy looking frog there. I don't know. I don't even want to know where you got that clip art from. Okay, don't.
Well, if you Google sexy frog, right? So
that's what comes up.
That's it. So we just want to have vibrant conversation during this portion of the meeting. And so really, for me, I'm looking for a couple of things during this portion. You know, one, what are some common denominators that we have in common that are not business related? And two, what, you know, is that gift that I can send them after, you know, we have this meeting? And so, you know, that $3 to $5 gift. And so, I mean, in the back of my mind, you know, I used to kind of have my notepads, you know, out in the beginning when I very first started doing these, kind of taking notes, because I didn't want to forget anything, you know. But now I just really want to validate whatever their production is, you know, and I want to learn what those common denominators are that we can talk about that's not business. And so whether that's, you know, fun hobbies or sports or, you know, where they go to church or where their kids go to school, I mean, I am really digging deep during this time to find, you know, what do we have in common that's not real estate and mortgage. And so it was easy for me during this time to not need to take notes or anything like that, because that's really all I'm looking to remember is, you know, what do we do that we both enjoy and that we can have conversations about in the future. So you know, this is probably 20 minutes worth of conversation. I mean, sometimes, you know, we might go off on some tangents and really get into some great conversation, which is what I look for, you know, because if we're talking about things that they like to do or that they're passionate about, that's a great, fun conversation. I mean, that's almost like going and having coffee with one of your close friends. And that's who I want to be for these real estate agents, is somebody that they enjoy on a personal level, in addition to just being, you know, a great mortgage originator. So at that point, you know, I always kind of have a passive agenda. So I really try and lead off this portion of the frog coffee with personal first and then kind of going back towards business. And so at the end of that, all of the frog questions, I'm really talking about goals at that end. And so goals for me are, did you meet your goals that you had set forth in 2017? Did it play out the way that you wished that it had? What would you have done different? If you could have given yourself some advice, in the beginning of the year that end of the year realtor could have told you, what would that be? And the reason that I go there is that I want to get them complaining about something, okay? And you'll learn, for a real estate agent, it's not hard to get them complaining, but what I want to do is get them to complain about their existing lending relationships that they already have in place. And so, because what I've learned is if I can get them complaining, if I can just find one thing that they will complain about, boy, I'm in great shape. I am in position to really knock it out of the park with those real estate agents. So I have some kind of go-to questions that I have found over time that is real easy to get a real estate agent to start complaining about their existing lending relationship, even if they thought in the very beginning that relationship was a 10 out of 10 perfect relationship. I mean, nothing is perfect. There's always something that's happened at some point in time, and I know how to mine through that conversation and strike gold, which is.
So what you're doing here is we all know that 100% of agents that you're meeting with, which are the top producers, right? These are closing 8 buyer sides or more per year, which is like the top 1%. They're already working with somebody. Absolutely. So you're looking for a cool way to find a little crack in that foundation to start kind of putting a chisel in there and start pulling them away from who they're currently working with, but definitely kind of under the radar. And how you start that process is get them to start complaining. So how do you get them to start complaining? What do you ask to make that happen?
Here's exactly what I start off with every single time. And that's just like what you were saying. You've got to have a great lender. Tell me what they do that's amazing for you. And so I love that question because that says, what do they do that's amazing for you? I'm not wanting to know what they do that's amazing for their buyers and for their clients. I want to know, what do they do that is amazing for you as a real estate agent? And so if I ask that question, if I shut up after I ask it, they'll probably sit there and they'll think for a moment. And they always come, it's always hard for them to answer that question. And so you really get them thinking right out of the gate, and they might say something like, oh, they always give great communication and, they get my deals closed on time. I'm like, no. That's their job, and that's really what they're doing for your clients. I want to know, what do they do that's amazing for you? Why do you love them so much? Because of what they're doing for you. And so it always causes them to really try and come up with something, and it's hard for them to come up with something. So if I see that happening, I know I got them, okay? So then my next question is, so do you think your go-to lender that you're working with right now is a fit for 100% of your clients? And they're going to say yes or no to that. And so if they say yes, I think that their lender is 100% perfect fit for every single client that they work with, then I know that I have my work cut out for me during the rest of this conversation. If they say no, which I have been shocked to hear how many real estate agents complain with, from time to time, some of my clients just feel like he's rude, that he's hard to get in touch with, or maybe they just didn't really connect, because he kind of has this tone that comes out from time to time, then I know I'm in good shape. And so if they say no, then I ask, why not? Because I want to know exactly what that is that they feel like that their lender is not a perfect 100% fit for their clients. So this is a great question. So after that, you know, I want to create the snowball effect here. I want to just continue to grow this little tiny negative that we started off with in the beginning, you know, and just magnify that into more complaining. And so next I always hit on what I call the common denominators. And these are things that all lenders or all real estate agents complain about lenders. And honestly, these might not be specific to their go-to lender, but it almost feels like it is if I ask them in this way. And so, you know, after they've told me why their lender is not a perfect fit for 100% of their clients, I always ask, you know, real estate agents tell me all the time that you guys get super irritated when your with your preferred lenders, you know, and I'm always shaking my head yes, right? So I'm like, yes, you know, what do you get irritated about when, you know, your lenders do these things? You know, and so I just kind of rattle a few of these off. I don't say every single one, but I'll pick a few, and I know which ones to say after I've gotten to know this realtor at this point. You know, and so you get irritated, you know, when you get your lender's voicemail a lot, you know, when you get in last minute closing disclosures, you know, when they won't follow up with your gray area referrals that you send over there, you know, that they send out appraisers that are not familiar with your neighborhood. You know, and so I picked a few of these, and one of them will resonate with that real estate agent. And boy, once you touch that nerve, they will just let you have it, because one of these issues is going to be fresh on their mind. I mean, they have recently had an appraiser go out, you know, and completely trash the report, you know, and they will just, you know, back the truck up with how unhappy they were about one of these things. And so I'm really in a great position at this point with this real estate agent, because, you know, they told me why their lender is not a perfect fit for 100% of their clients. You know, they were having a hard time telling me why they like their lender because of what they do specifically for them. And now they're basically complaining about the loan process themselves at this stage of the conversation. The next, you know, I like kind of go into a business growth kind of question. And this is because this is what I like to do with my real estate personally. I love to come alongside them and work on their business as much as I like to work in the business. And so I ask this question, you know, so when your lender is helping you with your business, when you're wanting to grow or solve obstacles you're facing, you know, what's a few of your favorite things that they have done for you? And I'm always shaking my head no, because I want them to be like, no, they've never done anything for me. And so this one is another hard question for a real estate agent to answer, because they've probably never been asked it, and they've never thought about their lending relationship in this way, because a lot of real estate agents just think that a lender is just a loan officer, and the only potential that they have in that relationship is just to close their deals for them. So I want to open their eyes that there is something more available to them above and beyond just a simple business relationship. That, you know, doesn't it make sense that they should want to help you grow your business, you know, or come alongside you when you're in a pickle and you're stuck? And so this is always giving me interesting feedback from these real estate agents when you ask this question, because again, they have a hard time answering it. They really do. So then I go right for the jugular, you know, and so, you know, I know that the next question that I will ask irritates every single realtor on the planet, no matter what, period, in the story. And so this is my closing question. So I go right here, which a lot of the Freedom Club and people avoid this next question. But I always ask it right out of the gate. Do you wish your lender gave you more referrals? And I'm always shaking my head, yes, right? Yes, don't you wish your lender gave you more referrals? And they're gonna say, well, absolutely, right? Because every real estate agent on the planet wished that their lender gave them more.
Yeah, who would say no to that, right?
Exactly.
Nobody's gonna say no to that.
And so once they say yes, I want to disarm them, because for a millimoment, they're gonna think, ooh, Greg is here to tell me about how he can give me more referrals. And so I do not give real estate agents referrals at the beginning of a relationship, and I don't dangle a carrot that I'm going to give them referrals in order to start working with me. And so I want to disarm them from that. And here's exactly what I say after I ask them, do you wish your lender gave you more referrals? And this is what I say. I say, hey, I hear you. I feel the exact same way about my preferred insurance agents. Seems like I send them tons of referrals, but I rarely get anything in return. But I realize that by that time that insurance agent makes contact with somebody wanting homeowners insurance, they're too far into the process. They're calling me they're calling the insurance agent because they need insurance and they're about to close on a house. My insurance agent can't refer them, as they're already committed to a lender. Same situation between the lender and the realtor. Most great lenders build their foundation on referrals from great realtors. So unless that realtor upsets their client, it's tough for us to find a lot of referrals for our realtors. So now, it kind of feels like we're in the same boat. You wish you could get more referrals out of your lender. I wish I could get more referrals out of my insurance agent. But the reality of it is, it's not going to happen, because it's just not, the normal process doesn't really allow it.
Yeah. So basically you're just saying, hey, so would you like more referrals from your lender? And they go, yes, of course I would. And you go, yeah, I know exactly how you feel. I'd like more referrals from my insurance agent.
Right.
But the thing is, people don't call insurance agents first when they're buying a house. They call a real estate agent first. The real estate agent calls the mortgage, and then the mortgage calls the insurance company. And that's just kind of how it goes. So you're just reframing. I know exactly how you feel about wanting more referrals, but then you're saying, but it's kind of, of course my insurance agent can't give me a lot of referrals because people don't call an insurance person first.
Exactly. And so now we've kind of changed the whole attitude. I almost reprogram every single real estate agent after I've told that. You can almost hear a glass breaking sound in their mind of, oh, I've never really thought about it that way. Now I know why my lender has never really given me referrals. And so, now it's like, hey, you and I, we're in the same boat. That's a bummer for me. It's a bummer for you. But here's where I set the second appointment. And so where I go after I've, kind of cast that attitude of we're in the same boat, I go here. I say, hey, I personally believe in trying to outgive my real estate agents. I have a whole platform I give to my realtors to help them generate buyer leads, win listings, and develop themselves and their teams. We work on social media. We work on becoming more efficient when things get busy, and we are constantly adding to this platform. I get totally excited just talking about it. But it's one of those things that is easier for you to see in person compared to me just trying to tell you about it. Think you could swing by the office tomorrow, and I show you exactly what I'm talking about in person. So this has worked 100% of the time for me. 100% of the realtors that I have met for coffee have taken me up on this second appointment. And so,
and normally on this second appointment, you have them coming to your office versus back to Starbucks or versus their office?
Absolutely. Yeah. Because I want to bring them into the fold. I mean, there's a lot of reasons that I personally want to have this second appointment that is not me sharing all the cool things that I do for realtors. I want them to meet my team. I want them to see how convenient my office is. I want them to see how nice my office is. and I want them to, feel like, okay, this guy is legit, because they may have never, ever have known me in the past, before this coffee meeting. So I need to open their eyes to who we are as a lender.
Yeah.
And
I guess another side of benefit of having them come to your office is they get to meet your team perhaps, and like if you're if this is the case, if your loan officer assistant or your loan partner, production partner, if they're there under your same roof, and at some point you're going to be handing off the chasing of conditions and perhaps the updates and whatnot to that person, you're giving them a chance to meet each other so they have a face-to-face. So when they get calls from people on your team, it's not just a voice of the phone, it's Debbie, it's Jimmy, because I met them over at your office. Is that
right? Absolutely, absolutely. And we'll talk about what we do on the second meeting here in a minute, because there's another predictable outcome that we want to have during the second meeting. And my office is not super over the top. I mean, I think it's nice, but my office is not what sells these people on this second appointment. It is really the opportunity for us to brainstorm together and have a great dialogue and to help them, get excited about what the possibilities can be with doing business with me in the future going forward. And so that's what we do at the second meeting. So, now for me, it's all about getting them to engage. And so, we have a very, very high ratio of these realtors coming to these second meetings. Sometimes they have to reschedule, but I always get them there. And that's important to me, because I can tell that the real estate agents that are super hungry and want to meet, very, very quickly at this second meeting are pretty excited about the possibilities of a relationship with me. If they put me off, and reschedule, I know I've got a lot of more work in store for me in order to convert them. But really, after this first meeting, the tone that I want to leave them with is that the problems are the problems in this industry, but you and I are solving them together, and that's really it. And so if I can leave that first meeting with that underlying message, and that we have some things in common, and that we're both fairly cool people, and there's nothing really that was a roadblock that we dislike about each other, then we've got green lights going forward. It's going to be a great relationship for us, in the days ahead. So now, I want to talk about what we exactly say at this second appointment. And I did not cover this in Florida because we didn't have enough time. But I had a whole lot of people come up to me after the presentation.
Say, what is the second appointment that you do? What do you do?
Second appointment. So what I have done is, basically create a little PowerPoint presentation that I use as a guide with every single realtor that I have this second appointment with. And so, they always show up, they always meet the team, they get something nice to drink, we sit down in the coffee at the conference room. I've already got these slides up and running, in the first slide, you're seeing the first slide that is, will be on the screen of the TV in our conference room. So they walk in, the only thing that they're seeing is you give to us and we want to give back, okay? And so without me saying a word, they know, okay, Greg told me that he wants to help grow my business. I know what I'm going to be in store for at the second meeting because he's already got it up on the screen. Okay, so I don't want to bait and switch them. I want to do what I said I was going to do, and that's talk about exactly how we're going to help them grow their business. And so we start off, and for me, and this is just me specifically, I've always found it a little clunky to get this second meeting up and going. And so you know, I've got on my website the partners page, and that's how I break the ice, because you know, you're always going to have a little bit of clunky conversation. You know, they're sitting down, we're sitting down. You know, you have a busy day today. Yeah. How many closings you had this week? Yeah. You know, so I always got to get them going, because this second meeting can really go long if you don't get it started out of the gate. So I say, hey, you know, we've got on our Scissortail Financial webpage a partners page, and at the bottom of that partners page, you know, we've got a login for each real estate agent to access some of what we're going to talk about here today. And so they're like, okay, that's cool. And I say, you know, the goal of this meeting is for me to share what my goal is for you, and that's to provide a stress-free process to free you up as a real estate agent to go close more business instead of babysitting a bunch of loan officers. You know, and so how we do that is we have amazing referral follow-up. I've got great rates and fees. Our communication process is impeccable, you know, and we have a very positive and proactive client experience. We really take on-time closings very seriously here. So in other words,
this is just a list of here's what we're good at.
Right, because that's what this whole thing really is how I'm going to help them and why we're awesome. You know, and then we really are intentional with how we edify you throughout the entire process, because I find if I'm talking you up from day one going forward, all that's going to do is get more referrals from you out of your buyer. And so I talk about how we communicate, you know, throughout the process. And so, you know, I talk about how we do our status updates. You know, it's a big issue for a real estate agent to always, you know, try and figure out what's going on with the loan process. And if you're busy and you've got your buyers spread across, you know, 3-4 different lenders, then I know the bulk of your day is spent trying to get that lender to give you an update that you can turn around and share with your buyers. And then you got to call the listing agent, and then you got to call the title company, you know, and your hair is on fire just trying to keep everybody on the same page, you know. And so this works really well for tuna and tilapia realtors, because
you know what, you bring up a great point. I've never really thought of it this way. That's a great point. That part of this second appointment is bring it to their attention that instead of calling 5 or 6 or 10 lenders about what's going on with your files this month, wouldn't it be nice and simple if you had just one, and you're not calling them, they're calling you, they're emailing you, they're texting you the updates, and they're not just emailing and sending you the updates, they're also sending the updates to the title company, to the other agent involved, to the borrower, the co-borrower, like they're updating everybody. And so, right. Mr. and Mrs. Realtor, you don't have to do that with 15 different lenders or 10 different lenders or 5 different lenders, even 2 different lenders. I'm going to do that for you. That's actually a great point. On your updating, what do you guys actually use? Like when you do your Tuesday updates, are y'all using like what system are you using to get the updates?
We just switched to Flowify and went live with that on December 1st. And this particular slide,
does it email them out? Does it text them out, or does it do a little bit of each?
It emails and texts.
All right. And then in addition to that, are you guys calling also?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
And so honestly, it really reduces that amount of phone time that you spend doing your Tuesday calls, because the way that we update everybody, that call goes, hey, I know you're completely in the know with everything that's going on, and every other involved party that's in the process is on the exact same page. Are you happy with how everything is going? And they're going to say yes or no. And so if they say no, then you obviously have an opportunity to shine. And if they say yes, I always ask a second time, are you absolutely sure that there's nothing else we could do to make you have an amazing experience with us, right? Because if you ask twice, they believe it. If you ask once, it's just a simple question.
Yeah.
But asking them a second time, you know, are you sure there's nothing else that we could possibly do to make you have a 5 out of 5, you know, star experience here? You know, and so that's how we do it. And so it's easier for us to get referrals if we script it that way. But so our Tuesday calls are not a bunch of loan update stuff because they're completely in the know already with everything that's going on.
Okay.
So now, we switched to the Flowify, which looks very similar to this, but they're getting text notifications on their cell phone. And then honestly, I've got a new version of this presentation that I've created that has all the Flowify value for them. I just didn't have it all done by the time we went to Clearwater, but the thing is the same. So for us, we use Surefire, and there's co-branded videos within Surefire. So we talk about the co-branded videos and why the clients love that and how it makes the real estate agent look great. With Surefire, we have an 85-touch 5-year post-closing campaign that we put the buyer's agent on there with us if that's what they'd like for us to do. And so this is a cool one right here because I always open this up with, tell me what you do to market your past client database. And they're going to say, well, I call them and, I send them Christmas cards. And I'm like, yeah, you do. And so this is an opportunity for me to come alongside them and share some statistics and what we do internally to market our database and how that is their residual income going forward, that they've got to be master databasers. So we talk about this. We talk about the Tuesday mastermind classes, and how they have full access to that. And now we're going to invite them.
And these are the agent mastermind classes.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
So it's the screenshot, on the left is what our invite looks like, and they're going to start receiving this going forward. I talk about, hey.
So basically what you're doing here is you're just at this second meeting, you say, hey, by the way, here's how we help you. And so far we've talked about, I'm going to close you on time. Then we talked about, you don't have to call 5 different lenders. I'm going to call you to update you. And I'm not just going to call you, I'm going to call everybody in the transaction. And then number 3, here's something else that we do. We provide this training for you through the Agent Mastermind classes. And here's a link to all the past classes that you can go watch.
Right. And that they've got full access to that. So again, this is how do we help you be next level realtor. And by the way,
just in case we have some new people here on the call, everybody understand that the Agent Mastermind class here, you all have that, right? That comes with your membership here with our group. And so you all have all these classes, which, by the way, I get questions sometimes, Greg, people say, hey, what do I shoot a video? I want to send a video out to my realtor, what I do. Dude, just watch one of the classes for 10 or 15 minutes, pick one little nugget, and these classes are not a bad thing to watch, by the way, because it'll give you good talking points from time to time, too. Again, we always keep in mind frog is the main thing that we're talking about, but there's certainly nothing wrong with bringing cool ideas to people, and this is just an enormous amount of information on these classes. There's plenty of stuff in there to get yourself. Not that I want you to be sitting there watching classes all day. We want you actually doing stuff, but I love the way you position this, Greg. Good stuff, buddy.
Right. I mean, because they're all struggling with something somewhere, or they're all trying to figure out something, and they're in the dark, fumbling around, trying to reinvent the wheel, So I'm like, hey, I'm the guy that has all the wheels, right? Tell me what wheels you want,
I'm the candy store.
Yeah. So we do agent marketing as well. And
just to let everybody know, it's agentmarketing.com, which is it's like the single property website type thing. I think there's another one, listing reports, I think is the name of another company that does this. So if you got listing reports, it's basically the same thing. And we're a little up on time here, Greg. We got about 10 minutes. So maybe you can you give us a fast track of what this when you're walking through this, what it looks like?
Absolutely. So I'm going to fast forward, in this entire presentation, will be available to everybody, so you can take your time and peek at all these slides.
By the way, before we do this, when you're meeting with these agents, so this is all happening on meeting 2. we're gonna update you and the agent mastermind classes, and then you walk them through the agentmarketing.com single property website thing. How long is this meeting typically when you meet with them?
An hour.
Okay.
Unless they get really jazzed up, which is not uncommon. You know, this meeting can go as long as you let it. You know, so I really.
But if I'm scheduling this, if I'm gonna quote copy you and use the same presentation, this is about an hour meeting, give or take.
Right. Okay. But for me, this is setting the hook.
Oh, dude, I totally get it.
You know,
but if I'm scheduling like if I'm scheduling 2 of these a day, I should put them like 90 days apart or 90 minutes apart from each other. So if I'm meeting with one, just say noon to 1, my next appointment wouldn't start till 1:30.
You could do it that way, but I intentionally book them out 60 minutes because I usually stack these back to back. And I love another tuna or whale sitting in my lobby waiting to get into my conference room and seeing another real estate agent who's coming out of that conference room completely fired up about, because we're going to set a third appointment, you know, and so there's some real leverage with that, and it helps me stay on time when I do it that way.
It's kind of like so what you're saying is it's kind of like if I'm getting ready to walk in your office and I'm waiting for 2-3 minutes for my appointment, and I see Kevin O'Leary or Mark Cuban walk out of your office, shake your hand, saying looking forward to it, Greg. I'm going, dude, I'm not really sure who this Greg guy is, but I want to know him. Like he obviously knows where it's going because he's meeting with real estate agent whale Susan, so to speak.
Yeah. So I'd rather interrupt my meeting that I'm currently having and say, hey, my time's up. I got Susie Smith waiting on me in the office, and she and I got some things that we're going to be working on together. So let's go ahead and get some more time on the books, and let's just keep this in motion. And so
100% positioning.
So I'm going to rattle through some of these, and I'm not going to address every slide, but I want everybody just to kind of see, I'm just taking screenshots, and I'm just putting ideas of all the different things. This is all agent marketing stuff right here.
So this is all built into the agent marketing program, right, is what we're showing, which and for those of you who don't know about it, this slide presentation is actually pulled from their presentation. They give you a presentation for you to copy.
They do, and I just use my snipping tool. Here's how we call every Monday, and we text every Thursday, and here's exactly why we do that, and why you're going to want to engage with me when I call. And these are just some things that we do as a lender that are very, very unique to us. And there's very specific conversations that I have behind all of these slides. Here's how we're doing, the instant pre-approval letters. They really, really love that.
Wait, go back. What's the, when you say instant pre-approval letters, what do you mean by that?
Like the stead key or the flow-ify, so the real estate agent.
Got it. So just real quick, what Greg's referring to here, dude, you got a lot of good stuff going on, man. What Greg's referring to is there's a couple different programs. One, Flowify does it. Another one, SteadKey does it, steadkey.com, where, if I understand this right, Greg, you put in the borrower's information in this program, and then the real estate agent can log onto that program and print out their own pre-approval letter. So let's say it's Friday evening, you're out to dinner with your wife and kids, and the real estate agent wants to do a pre-approval letter. It's Friday at 7 p.m. She's out showing houses on a Friday evening, and they want to put an offer on something with a pre-approval letter. They don't have to interrupt. They don't have to wait on you to finish dinner, and you certainly don't have to disrespect your family by leaving. They already know, because you teach them this. Go log on to the site. They can print their own pre-approval letter 24/7.
Yep. And
change it with the address, the amounts, and it's programmed in that they can't write a pre-approval letter for a property higher than the payments that they're pre-approved for. So it's automatically limiting, but they put in the address and the price amount. So, all right, I just wanted to, in case, again, if somebody's not familiar with those.
Well, and honestly, this is a spot to where I get them complaining again, because this whole second presentation is just as scripted out as my Frog Coffee, Thor's Hammer coffee is. And so So at this point, I'm like, hey, you guys are, as realtors, you love to write offers on houses at like 11:45 at night on a Sunday, you know? And when you do that, you know, you're choosing to not use the letter because you know, that letter that we issued initially was for a much higher amount than what you're wanting to offer. And so you're making an offer submission without a pre-qual letter, and then you send me an email or a text, and I get you a letter next business morning. You know, so the risk with doing that is if you had a competing offer come in at the exact same time, you know, and your offer didn't have a letter, you probably just lost your deal for your buyer. And they're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. How do you know how to do this? And so they can all relate to that because that has happened for all of them. We talk about the team, so they've already had the opportunity to shake some of their hands when they came in the office in the beginning, but we talk about our team approach, why the loan partner structure is the better way to do it, why you're always going to have somebody at your disposal to help you. No more, you know, voicemails, no more waiting to get calls back. You know, we're all about
kind of the move it to the front. We're going to move all you and your clients to the front of the line script.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Love it.
They have accessibility to me. We don't do funding numbers. I pick the appraisers on our rotation. We don't charge VA loan non-allowables. We do recaps. We allow future income, repair escrows. This is our, you know, loan matrix that we give them all. We pre-approve their sellers. You know, here's about our underwriters.
Go back to that last time. Dude, you got so much. We probably ought to make this a three call series here because you got a lot of really good stuff here. Tell us about the pre-approve the sellers. How do you make that work?
So, you know, I've got all kinds of horror stories to tell about, you know, people that come to us that waited to get pre-approved. So in other words, you know, you listed your house for sale, you got a contract, you know, on your house that you're selling. You made some big assumptions on how you thought you would be eligible for the purchase loan on your next buy. You get to the lender, which is me, and I have to give you some bad news about how you get to go live at the microtel for the next 90 days because you just sold your house and you're not an eligible buyer, and you're not approvable on the purchase loan, you know, because these people don't know what to say. They're not lenders, but they tend to wait to get pre-approved much further down the process. And so I instruct my real estate agents I want to pre-approve all your sellers. And here's why, you know, I want to give your seller peace of mind, you know, so they know without a shadow of a doubt that they can always get approved on their purchase loan. And if they can't, it's much better to find that out now than it is you spend the next 90 days to get their house sold. And then everybody's, you know, going to have a real bad day when they figure out that they're going to have to be a renter instead of a buyer after they sell the house. It gives them specific information so they can, you know the exact cash to close figures that they're going to need for the purchase. So as the real estate agent allows you to be more effective because now you can negotiate using specific figures instead of just generalities. And so, so this is a great conversation to have.
Love it.
We talk about in-house underwriting versus the best underwriters. And so there's a lot of lenders that go out there and sell in-house underwriting and why that's awesome. I tell a real estate agent why that is not awesome, and that is an archaic sales pitch, and it has no value in today's society, you know, because it doesn't matter if your underwriter is in Alaska, you know, the way technology works, you know, I have the ability to have the best underwriter opposed to who's sitting in the office next to me, which is the old way of selling that.
I like that.
We do down payment assistance. You know, here's some of our personal websites that we're out there marketing. You know, e-signatures, you know, we're full legal mortgage bankers. You know, we co-sponsor events. And this is always the closing slide. You know, this is what winning looks like, right? And they look at that and they almost tear up because, you know, this is happy clients, big smiles at the closing table. And I'm like, you know, at the end of the day, all this stuff is awesome and I love it. But if you and I aren't sitting arm in arm at the closing table, looking at another couple or family or individual on the other side with a big smile on their face, then I don't feel like I have done you any favors. And so this is what drives me. This is what success looks like for me, and let's get there together. And so that's what the second presentation looks like.
Brother, I love this second presentation, man. This is really good stuff. We could, like, I want to talk to you as soon as we finish this. Maybe have you go deeper into some of this stuff here on the second meeting. So, it's strictly, the bottom line here, Greg, is what you've done is you've taken whatever your strong points are, and those of us listening to this today, their strong points might be different. Like let's just say, like you put the point, hey, we don't just get the underwriter under roof. We can go outside and get the best in the world because they don't have to be just under our roof.
Right.
But now, if you've got in-house underwriting, again, you just reposition it. That, look, if I have a question on underwriter, I'm not emailing, or I'm not leaving a voicemail to some underwriter in Alaska. I'm walking over to his office. I'm walking over to our office right over there to fight for you. So whatever your strong points are with your company, that's all you're saying here. Whatever your strong points are, make them your strong points, right? Bring them out and talk about how it's their advantage, whatever that happens to be.
You can make every positive and negative, because I don't have in-house underwriters at my location with me here. And there are so many lenders that go out there and sell in-house underwriting, and why that's amazing. And let me tell you exactly why that is a weak sales pitch for a lender to be telling you that. 15 years ago, everybody wanted in-house underwriting because that meant fast, right? That meant you could get your deal done, because you would have had to mail coffee packages everywhere, and FedEx bills were through the roof, and that's how we did business. Now in today's technology, it doesn't matter where they're at. Yeah. There is no advantage to you having in-house underwriting anymore, because I want who's best and who's fast.
So just whatever is the case for you in your business, just make that your strong point, whichever side of the aisle you're on. By the way, I just noticed I've got my Barbara Eden picture up here on the wall. I just want to clarify what that is. So some of you are probably too young to know who this is. So this is an old 60s, 70s TV show, I Dream of Jeannie, with Barbara Eden. And she was kind enough to find one with a nice little something directed to me. I met her, and she's a really, really nice lady. And she sent me this thing as a way of saying thank you for meeting with her, or I should say, anyway. So that's the reason why this picture's up on my wall. It's an old 60s, 70s TV personality, and
I love it when you turn red, Carl.
Well, I'm sitting there going, I'm always respectful, and I thought, in case somebody's not sure who this is, let me bring this up. That was her costume in the show.
Right.
And she autographed it and wrote a little, something nice to me on it, and I love it. It's when I was 10 years, she was my first girlfriend when I was 10 years old, so. Anyway.
The second presentation is essentially why I'm awesome and unique in finding everything positive that I can think of to say to them that might be of value to them or help them close more loans, and just some of the more common ways that we help them grow their business, become more efficient, win buyer, if they want to increase their buyer leads, hey, I'm going to show them an agent mastermind presentation, and let them go figure it out on their own, but they don't have to go reinvent the wheel because it's already been figured out for them. I'm not going to do it for them. Good.
Outstanding, brother. So, dude, thank you so much for your time today. And those of you watching on the call, make sure you go give Greg some love. I mean, he took time out of his day, obviously put some serious effort into this presentation. And I think on our next mastermind meeting, man, I'd like to hear more about this second meeting, go deeper on some of these things. I think there's a lot of good content in this.
Yeah.
So brother, thanks so much for all of you that's watching this today. Hey, on behalf of myself and my dear friend Greg Freeman out of the great state of Oklahoma, we just want to thank you. We know that you could be anywhere doing anything today, and that you would choose to spend your time with us today. Truly, truly is an honor. So, Greg, man, hands off to you, man. Outstanding. Thanks for helping me help others, brother.
You're welcome. Have a good one.
All right, guys. We'll see you. We'll see you at the next meeting. We'll see you on the web. Bye-bye. Thanks, Greg.